Hello, everybody. Welcome to our weekly Lunch and Learn, where we explore topics to help you elevate your mindset, be at your best, and radically expand your life and business. Today, I'm talking about a very special topic, and it's all about forgiveness. It's about forgiveness, what it is, how it works, and how you can take steps and bring more forgiveness into your life because it is a truly, truly powerful force. And forgiveness is something that is one of the most liberating things you can do. So if you've ever been filled with pain or anger and sadness, maybe resentment, blame, or betrayal towards someone else or even yourself, I want you to listen up because today is for you. Today is about you. And I'm going to show you a better way. And better is a really good word. So I want to thank you for being here. I truly, truly do appreciate you and your presence right here, right now. I would love to know where you're coming in from. So pop that in the chat. Let me know where you're coming in from. And if you're coming in by replay, type in replay in the chat. If it's your first time, you can type in first time in the chat because my team and we want to welcome you here. Now, if you have any questions, you can feel free to post them in the chat as we go along, and I'll make sure to answer them during the talk today. And if you have questions in the replay, we will make sure to get back to you later on. So some of you know me, some of you don't. And if you don't know me, I'm Larissa McCooch. I'm a master results coach and CEO of Abundance Academy. And we help high achieving women radically expand their life, bridge the gap between dreaming and the actions they take. And that way they can have an unapologetically beautiful life and business they want and love. So just before we dive into, hello from St. Catharines, I think that is Angela. So just before we dive into what we're talking about, I just want to mention that we do have an event coming up in a couple of weeks. It's called Unstoppable You. It's a 5-day Dream Creator and Abundance Accelerator workshop. And this is all about dreaming and doing and literally being and showing up at your best. And when we really think about the most unstoppable you, I think forgiveness plays a big part in this because people that are unstoppable, they don't hold on to things. They don't hold on to baggage. So this is your opportunity to literally let go, let God, and show up as your absolute best self. We have run this workshop several times before, and it's absolutely wonderful if you're new to our community or if you're a seasoned pro. Many of our clients have come back time and time again. Many of our community members have come back and done it over and over again. The thing is, the information itself doesn't change much, but every time you come back, you change and you will get something incredible out of it. So if you haven't registered, I want you to do that. It's called Unstoppable You, the Abundance Accelerator and Dream Creator Workshop. So if Kelsey, can you just pop that in the chat on our different platforms? That would be amazing. That way people could have access to that to register. Now, when it comes to forgiveness is something that I didn't really understand growing up. I heard people talk about it. I thought I forgave people for things, but it wasn't really a big part of my world or present in my life for quite a while. And I remember the day my father passed away. That was the day me and forgiveness really developed an intimate bond. Something magical happened with it. I had actually been studying personal growth for a while. And at that point, positivity and feeding my mind with like motivation just really didn't feel right, especially that day. And I knew fundamentally I needed to keep putting good things into me or I wouldn't be able to show up for others. I had a young son. I had obligations to my team. I had obligations to my clients, and I wanted to be there for my family as well. And I wanted to show up in my life, yet I knew I couldn't fake it till I make it. And after he passed away, right, that day, it took, I had all these thoughts that started to come up, right? What else could I have done? I had feelings of regret. I started to have some self-blame, even though this was a circumstance far beyond my control, right? My father's death was surprising. It came a bit sudden, and we didn't have a chance for closure. And while death is inevitable, it's something that surprises us when it does happen. Okay. And so these feelings of blame and guilt and self-doubt and what else could I have done to help stop the situation kept coming up and coming up in my mind. And I knew that when my grandmother had passed away, it took several years to be able to even show up in my life after that point. And I didn't want to be at a standstill with this. I didn't want my father's passing to be a negative influence in my life. I didn't want to be jumping for joy because I didn't feel right about that. However, I wanted to honor him. I wanted to honor myself, and I knew beating myself up and I knew putting myself in a negative place wouldn't do anything. And so I remember that day because I started studying something called the law of forgiveness. And there's a chapter about forgiveness and working with the law. Bob Proctor also has some resources online about the law of forgiveness. And that was my first introduction. Since then, I've done a lot more studying into forgiveness. And I've really started to use this idea of forgiveness to let go of things so much more easily in my life. And it ultimately started with forgiving myself, because as soon as I was able to start forgiving myself for things, I was able to start forgiving others so much faster. So why am I sharing this with you? Okay, I know you've probably had your own circumstances where forgiveness would have been helpful in your life, whether it's forgiving yourself, forgiving someone else that has hurt you or harmed you in a certain way. However, when you put yourself in this place of forgiveness, you actually put yourself in a very powerful position, because you start to develop something called faith based on understanding. And when you understand what forgiveness really is and how to work with it and the positive impact it truly makes in your life and in other people's, you're going to want to start paying more attention to it. So ask yourself, do you want to be able to let go of negative emotions like pain or anger or sadness, betrayal, that are eating away at you and weighing you down? Would you like that? Raise your hand. Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense to you. Would you like to stop hearing yourself blaming yourself and justifying your behavior just to prove your point? And maybe talking about the past and playing it like a record, going over and over again on loop, getting more and more frustrated because you know it's not really getting anywhere and you're trying to find a solution, but you're still playing the same story over and over again. Do you want to stop doing that? Are you ready to see yourself in a more peaceful frame of mind? Are you ready to more easily forgive others and forgive yourself? Okay. If that sounds appealing to you, that's what we're talking about today, because that's what the power of forgiveness really does. Forgiveness is present in most world religions. Regardless of the religion, regardless of how they present it, there is some emphasis of forgiveness in every single culture. Some cultures place greater emphasis on the need for humans to find a divine forgiveness for their own shortcomings. Others place more emphasis on the need for humans to practice forgiveness with one another. Regardless, whether you're practicing it for yourself or for others, both are necessary. Okay, both are necessary, and both can and are very, very powerful. So, what is forgiveness? Forgiveness is the action or process of forgiving. It's where you stop being a victim. It's where you stop feeling angry or resentful towards someone for an offense or a mistake or a flaw. Now, some of their behavior may have been justified or not, but when you practice forgiveness, it doesn't matter what happened. It doesn't matter whether it's right or wrong. The whole idea is to let go of completely. Okay, the root of forgive comes from the Latin word perdonare, and it means to completely let go of without reservation. And it's kind of like the English pardon. Okay, so you want to let go of things completely when you're in a state of forgiveness. And that might seem a little bit difficult when you're in this place of not feeling good about what someone said, what someone did, what you may have done. Now, the fact is you can't change the past. So whether you or someone did something, whether it was by accident or on purpose, you can't change the past. And everything you believe is true. So if you can't change the past and everything you believe is true, if you're living in the past, if you're feeling bad about the past, if you're talking about past stories, you're bringing that energy into your life, and that is just not a good thing. So it's really important that what you focus on is pure. What you focus on is what you want. What you focus on is something in the present moment and something that will move you forward to the future. When you forgive, you become healthier mentally and physically and emotionally. You don't harbor grudges. Harboring grudges is not a healthy practice. You can reduce anxiety, depression, psychiatric disorders. You can strengthen your immune system, lower mortality rates. You can build your self-esteem and so much more. There's been a lot of research that's been done in this whole aspect of forgiveness and even how forgiveness impacts your health. There's been a book written about it. Okay, there was a book called Forgiveness and Health written about the health benefits of forgiveness. So there's been tons and tons of research done in this. Forgiveness is a really good thing. There was also one study that was done that looked at people who had greater levels of accumulated lifetime stress, and they generally exhibited worse mental health outcomes. Those that they compared, okay, in the study, who had high levels of forgiveness, so people who scored high on the forgiveness scale, even if they had high levels of additional stress, it didn't actually predict poor mental health. So they may have had just the same amount of stress, the same kind of stress as other people, as their counterparts, but those who actually practiced forgiveness, they didn't have poor mental health. And what was really surprising in this study, okay, what was really surprising that they found is they thought forgiveness would knock something off the stress scale, but they didn't expect it to actually zero the stresses out. So those who practiced forgiveness literally eliminated all of the negative impacts of those stresses compared to those that didn't. So science even shows that forgiveness is an extremely, extremely powerful thing. It's not something you can just say, yeah, I forgive you, and think you're actually forgiving people. It's something you actually have to feel in your body and believe and express viscerally. So forgiveness is all about the willingness to let go. It's a voluntary process. And when you let go, it's letting go and having this attitude of forgiveness, regardless of the offense. And if you're used to feeling like a victim, you may actually get some benefits for yourself, right? We don't necessarily think of being a victim as having benefits, but sometimes when we're in this victim mode, we get other benefits of being able to complain to people in order to connect to them secretly. We may get attention from others. We may have something really familiar to focus on, and we may be comfortable speaking like that because it's our habit. And so victim mode can actually bring benefits to people because it's comfortable, it's familiar, it's habitual, they get attention. And if you've ever been in this situation, this is not the time to feel bad and feel more like a victim. It's a time to say, wow, I really did do that. Because I can promise you that was me. I lived in victim mode, seeking attention. I didn't forgive easily in my past. And I used to hold grudges, and I wasn't happy, and I wasn't healthy, and things did not move forward in my life with ease. Okay, so forgiveness is so key. And as soon as you become willing to forgive and step into the attitudes of what you do want, it's going to be a magical thing. So sometimes when we focus on the past, okay, when we focus on the past, if some situation happened, we bring it into our present and keep replaying it, just like that record, like I mentioned. Now, you wouldn't harbor resentment or negative emotions for things that didn't have a justifiable reason. So let's use a baby, for example. If there was a baby that was crying for food, or because they had a dirty diaper, or maybe a child that made a mess, you wouldn't really need to forgive them because that action is not deliberately unjust or hurtful. You may be upset by it, you may be frustrated by it, but it's not something that would need forgiveness because there's no deliberate intent behind it. Also, let's say someone cuts you off in traffic. Chances are you're not going to spend the rest of your day thinking about it. You'll forget about that incident and you won't even need to consciously forgive the offender. Sometimes people hold on to this and then you do need to forgive them. But if it's just something small that isn't a big deal in your life, chances are you're not going to harbor that resentment. So you want to really look at some of these things because are you holding on to little things? Are you holding on to big things? Or are you holding on to things in between? As soon as you make that committed decision to let them go, it's like releasing a weight from your world, a weight that might be on your chest, a weight that might be on your back, a weight that might be in your shoulder bag. Okay. You want to let things go. And the fact is that whether a behavior was justifiable or not, holding on to things is actually going to make you feel worse. It's not going to make the other person feel worse because forgiveness is all about you. Forgiveness is all about you. It actually has nothing to do with the other person. So when you practice forgiveness, it's not about bringing the other person into the situation. Sure, it might be nice if the other person acknowledges that you've forgiven them. However, it's not necessary because the act and process of forgiveness is really about you becoming at peace with any situation. So you want to stop focusing on the past and start focusing on the present and where you're going. And whether you did something bad to someone on purpose or by accident, you don't have to carry that with you. Let it go. Whether someone else did something to you on purpose or by accident, let it go. You don't need to carry that with you because it's going to feel worse. And by looping this story, by repeating this story over and over again, you're probably going to make it even worse than it was initially. So let go of the past and stop living there. The past is behind you. Let it go, regardless of the circumstances. So it doesn't necessarily mean what happened was okay. It doesn't mean if you did something bad that wasn't elegant, that wasn't helpful, and that may have been hurtful to other people, that you go do it again. Okay. You don't turn the other cheek. This is the time to turn within and find that forgiveness for that person and decide to free yourself. You're imposing yourself with these negative emotions. It's time to let go of the handcuffs and free yourself through the process of forgiveness. Now, what you focus on expands sometimes when you take the perception of other people's positions, right? If you look at things through their eyes, you can actually appreciate the situation. You may not understand it. You may not agree with it. You may not like it. That can be helpful for some people to appreciate the position. There's a very powerful exercise that's done in many different schools of thought. We do this one-on-one with clients in a breakthrough setting. It's called Perceptual Positions. We do it in a few different ways. There's also some journaling exercises that we work with clients for this, where we step into the other person's shoes. And it's so powerful when you do this. I have seen massive trauma, people with massive trauma, be at peace with the person that hurt them through doing an exercise like this, because they got to a state of neutrality. It wasn't about blame. It wasn't about the circumstance. It was really about leveling the playing field and stepping into their best self. So the more you let go of things, the better it's going to be for you. Some people are naturally wired to forgive more than others, right? Science has also shown that forgiveness can be a trait that some people are born with. And a lot of that probably has to do with heredity, which at a young age, which impacts the upbringing at a young age, which impacts that child's development and actually the differences in their brain. And so certain parts of the brain are larger or smaller to help with the forgiveness muscle. However, there is something called neuroplasticity, and that is the idea that the brain can grow and renew itself. And as soon as you start learning how to forgive others, you can actually rewire your brain as well. You can rewire your brain to not be as easily offended. You can rewire your brain to roll with things a lot more easily. You can rewire your brain to not hold on to grudges or hurt feelings. So it is absolutely possible to shift your makeup. Okay, that is what the brain is designed to do. It's designed to create change. So, what are some ways you can practice forgiveness? What are some key elements for how to do something with this? First thing you want to do is decide to let go. Decide to let go. Recognize that you are living in the present, and what happened yesterday, you have no control over. You can't change the past. Accept it. It doesn't matter if it's right, wrong, good, bad, you, someone else. Let it go and recognize you're living in this world. Notice what you have to learn from the situation about yourself. This is something we also do in the timeline therapy process. We teach clients how to take situations that were once hurtful or harmful to them and turn them into positive learnings, and how we show them how to get the best out of negative experiences. So, what are the positive things that you can learn about the situation, and what are the good things you can learn about yourself? Absolutely practice gratitude. When you are thankful for things, you are in the present moment. When you are grateful for the blessings in your life, you will raise your vibrational frequency. You will be focusing on something good instead of something that doesn't serve you. Again, what you focus on expands. You can choose to focus on what isn't working, or you can choose to focus on the blessings. You can choose to focus on that which you desire. And so let go of the negative and place your attention on the positive. Practice gratitude, because gratitude is an absolutely magical process. Step 3, put yourself in their shoes. Okay. Look at things from that person's eyes. And one other thing is, look at, if you are religious, prayer can often boost forgiveness. And if you're not religious, this is where you can speak to your own unconscious mind, or speak to the universe, or speak to the higher power. Because when you're speaking and asking for something good, you literally, it's like placing an order with the universe. When you go to a restaurant and you place your order, you expect to get the order back. It's the same thing. Here, you can say beautiful and wonderful messages to a higher spirit and literally have a wonderful conversation. And when you connect into that source, when you connect to that state of oneness, when you connect to that state of being, then that's going to make a holistic, beautiful experience for you. So too often, people conclude that they can't forgive, or that they don't know how to forgive, and they just give up. But you never want to give up. You've got to keep going, even when it seems difficult. Be grateful for people in your life. Send love to those that have harmed you. Sometimes they might be daggers of love in the beginning. When you are in a state of forgiveness and you keep persisting, magical things will happen. And if you haven't made that switch yet, keep going, because it will happen one day. So decide to let go. Notice the good. What good do you have to learn from this situation about yourself? Practice gratitude. Put yourself in their shoes. And prayer. You can pray, speak to God, speak to the universe, and put good messages out there. Keep going and going and going and going and going. Ultimately, you were born and you were put on this planet to turn your dreams into reality. You were put on this planet to do good by doing good. And forgiveness is a really good thing. So I want you to take this to heart. I want you to realize forgiveness is about you. It's not about the other person. Forgiveness is something you can learn. Forgiveness is something you can practice. Forgiveness is something you can draw into your life right away. The faster you start letting things go, the lighter your energetic being is going to be. You don't want to carry around weight. You want to free yourself for the good emotions, the good feelings, the good life that you desire. Now, if you feel like this is something you've tried time and time again, and you still need help with this, we have something that we're just bringing back. We did this last year. We're bringing it back for the spring. It's called an emotional cleanup. And this is a one-on-one process where we teach you and we help you eliminate some of the negative emotional roadblocks that are standing in your way. We help you eliminate negative emotions and get yourself to a state of forgiveness. We can actually show you how to get to that state of forgiveness and acceptance with some of the people that have harmed you the most, that have hurt you the most. And I've seen it time and time again. So if there is someone or some circumstance or even something within yourself that you're having difficulty letting go of, and you're like, this is just sitting at me, this is eating away at me, I can't take it anymore, I want you to raise your hand. I want you to give us a call. I want you to shoot us a direct message and say, I want to learn more about these, about the emotional cleanup. And my team and I will be happy to connect with you and tell you about it and just see if it's a good fit for you, because this is a beautiful process that has helped so many people. So let us know if you're interested. Please do join us for the Unstoppable You workshop. It is happening in just a couple of weeks. Thank you guys for joining me. It has been an absolute pleasure. I will see you guys again next week. We will be back again with another wonderful topic. Bye for now.